Hey dude, I wrote an apology letter to Justin Holl. Can you read it over first? Well, he spelled Holl with an A, so we'll start there. Oh, whatever, it's a hard name. It's 4 letters and he's been here half a decade. Let's go! Give me what I want! Kick down the door! Drew, you are not doing this! What? Not nice! There's a giant head! You hear yourself! I made like 2,000 of these. I'd like to have fun. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Victory Puppies Iggy Hall of Fame, buddy! You gotta catch that. You don't even get a chance at redemption. You ate it. I still love you. Best team in Ontario, it's science. Leafs win! 3-2 over the Ottawa Senators in kind of a reversal of fortunes from the first game against Montreal. In that game it was we lost it, we didn't lose it, we lost it. In this one it was we won, we blew it, we won. But you know what? It's 2 points, which gives the Leafs 4 points, which ties them with the Philadelphia Flyers. Who would have thought that would be a good thing? Maybe you would even bet on it. If you want to, you can do that at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. Hockey is back. Well, not tomorrow. Tomorrow it's not back. Tomorrow there are no games. But after that, you could bet pre-game, in-play, or one of their many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. It's 18+, and please play responsibly. Before we talk about the game, Leafs fans, we kind of got to talk about this because it defined the night, or it certainly set up the night. I've been talking about it all week. There was Matt Murray's first game against Montreal, followed by Ilya Samsonov making his Leafs debut against his former team, followed by Matt Murray playing his first hockey night in Canada as a Toronto Maple Leaf against his former team. His first home game as a Leaf against his former team. And we were talking about how difficult that is, and oh my goodness, some of us might have even thought, oh, hockey gods, please don't put Matt Murray through that, which the hockey gods interpreted as screw up his adductor muscle. The hockey gods can be jerks like that. So here's why the Leafs were in a particular pickle in this situation. Here's the thing. The Leafs have 4 goalies under NHL contract in North America right now. They have 1 in Europe as well, but they're playing in Europe. 4 guys under contract right now are Joseph Holl, who has played games for the Leafs, Eric Källgren, who was the Leafs backup in last year's playoffs. We have Matt Murray, and we have Ilya Samsonov. Well, okay, you tick off the one who's in Europe. He can't play. Tick off Joseph Holl because he started the season injured. We thought for a sec you'd tick off Eric Källgren because last night or Friday night in a Toronto Marlies game, he got run over and had to leave the game. You take out Matt Murray with an injury, and all of a sudden, Ilya Samsonov is the only goalie on this continent the Leafs have under NHL contract. Uh-oh! That's okay, it's okay. You could trade for one, or no, you don't even have to do that. You could sign one. Well, no, they can't do that either. So the Leafs did sign Zach Aston Reese and didn't trade Wayne Simmons. And they are at 50 contract spots, and the max you're allowed to have is 50. So other guys in the Leafs organization like Keith Petruzzelli and Dryden McKay and Dylan Ferguson, who's on a tryout, none of them could be signed to a contract with the Leafs because the Leafs don't have the room. Not the cap room, the contract room. The way I saw it, there are a couple options. One, you could trade Wayne Simmons for basically nothing just to free up the contract spot. You might even have to sweeten the pot at this point in the season, which is not appealing at all. Or you could see if there's some sort of trade out there, sort of like what the Leafs did with Matt Martin in shedding his contract, and in return, the Leafs got Eamon McAdam, who played professional games in the organization and was under NHL contract, but there was never a real chance he was going to start games for the Leafs. If there was an emergency, sure, they could. I would qualify this as an emergency. But anyone on an NHL contract would be better than a 42-year-old Zamboni driver who works for you! Ignoring the fact that 42-year-old Zamboni drivers who work for you are actually undefeated in your building. Also, he's not 42 anymore. God, I hate time. Now, Matt Murray was placed on long-term injury reserve, LTIR, so this is like a pretty decently serious thing. If Eric Källgren can't go, the Leafs organization is in huge trouble. Just their luck, turns out Eric Källgren is good to go. And that's great. That's a great situation. Ilya Samsonov was going to be the tandem goalie anyway, and he played a ton of games with the Capitals last season. Can you guess how many? It was 44! He played more than half of the Capitals season. Matt Murray has to be out for a minimum of 24 days because of long-term injury reserve. I'm fairly certain Samsonov could hold the fort for 24 days. And I got a question, like, would I be comfortable with Eric Källgren getting games? Of course. I was comfortable with him getting games last year. That's cool. He's the best third option the Leafs have had in quite some time, to be honest. At least based on the way he played last year. So, that's crisis averted. You don't have to use an emergency goalie. You don't have to use a University of Toronto goalie. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Dubas was working the phones right now, because only having 2 fit goaltenders in your organization, literally, is not great. Because now you're still an injury away from a very hairy situation. All right, so Murray's not playing. Samsonov is. Let's talk about this game. That was the game 3-est game I've ever seen. Because what I've talked about in seasons past are games like in your first 5 games that are just goal fest. Like, we're talking like 15 goals in the game because everyone's got their skills and no one's got any defense, because no one's got any structure, because we just got here, we were on summer vacation. This year, the Leafs have come out of the gate not like that at all. Well, like that half, because their defense, well, you can get past them. But holy cow, these guys cannot connect a pass through 3 games. Even though they have 2 wins, it seems like the Leafs have held onto the puck a ton, which is lovely, and done not much with it, especially in the offensive zone. You know, sometimes you watch the preseason and you're like, the quality of this hockey is terrible. Well, through the first 3 regular season games, it's been quality of this hockey is terrible, but there's more hits. Cider. But I'm mostly talking about like from 10 minutes onward in the game, roughly, I would say, till about halfway through the second. That chunk of the game was a struggle for the Leafs. First 10 minutes, they looked great. They were dominating the Senators, I thought, until the Senators get a power play. Because Marner held Erik Brannstrom in the same way that you would like hold a great grandparent's arm to help them cross the street. Dude, this was such a strangely officiated game. Leafs got 2, the Sens got 2. You can't complain there. And it was a put away your whistle sort of game, but at least 3 of the 4 penalties were really weak. And oh, don't you worry, we're gonna talk about that one. Amazing that the hold on Brannstrom wasn't even the worst call of the game. The Senators go to work. This is the smallest seam, the smallest little path opens up for Shane Pinto. Beautiful pass from Claude Giroux, who was frustrated because he got stopped earlier. Shane Pinto, perfectly placed shot. It's a goal. Beat Samsonov. I think sometimes the other team just executes, man. Could the penalty kill have been a little bit better? Yeah. Was this goal caused exclusively by Sportsnet putting up a graphic that the Leafs were 9 for 9 on the penalty kill to start the season? Let's be honest. Yeah. But it's a really good pass and a really well-placed shot. And the Leafs are down 1-0 after 1. And we learned last game that they can't lose a game with The Rock in the building, but they can lose a game when he's not there. Although Leaf fans did start a Let's Go Leaf chant because you're the best. Going to call you a flock of fans because you're all silly geese. So, second period. Sens are doing a lot of what the Habs did in the first game, holding the Leafs up, keeping them to the outside, and teams are just letting the Leafs hold on to it. Because the Leafs are going to get the puck. They're at very least good at retrieving. And you don't want the other team to have the puck, and teams don't want the Leafs to have the puck. But the best place for the other team to have the puck is somewhere that is not dangerous at all. And after the Shane Pinto goal, that is essentially what the Leafs did for the next half hour of game time. It was a lot longer in real life. All the while, whenever the Sens do get the puck, they're flying into the Leaf zone at 1,000 miles an hour. Samsonov only had to make 7 saves in the second period, but they all felt like penalty shots. And the worst part about that period, oh, I got cut up, Leaf fans. I laughed. I shouldn't have laughed. You never laughed. Alexander Kerfoot drew that penalty that was... When he drew that penalty on Tim Stützle, I was like, it's the guy they say dives. Now, Sens fans watching this, if you're getting upset at that, I gotta say, I think Brendan Gallagher sort of maybe unfairly picked on Tim Stützle, and I thought everyone overblew that, okay? Okay? But it was a little funny when he was the one taking the penalty. I admit I laughed. And then a few minutes later, David Kampf did the unthinkable. He held Tim Stützle by the arm while Stützle fell onto the opposite side of the arm Kampf was holding. No screenshot is going to do it justice. None. You just have to watch it. Tic Tac Tomar had it on his timeline. You know what, producer Drew? Link to it in the description so everyone can see how brutal this dive is. This is not an embellishment. It is a dive, a devious dive, a divious dive, which sounds like a student in Slytherin House who only had a minor role. All I would say is this. Guys, Tim Stützle is going to be a star. He is. This is his breakout year. I think. You could argue that last year, after a really bad start, last year was his breakout year because he was incredible for the back half. He signed his big deal, and I gotta say, that Stützle contract, I'm pretty sure is gonna look great in the not-so-distant future. That being said, this guy is one of the youngest stars in the league. Timmy, it goes away. It goes away. You think they're gonna feel good about that when they watch that on video? You don't think these refs talk? We watched it happen to Nazem Kadri. That guy drew the most penalties in the entire league, and they vanished like that because officials were just tired of the guy. After about 30, 40 games of him not being able to draw anything, the head coach, Mike Babcock at the time, had to speak up and basically guilt refs into finally calling stuff against Kadri. Look, star players around this league don't get enough called in their favor as it is. People call Sidney Crosby a whiner, and maybe there's some truth to that, but all I know is for the first few years of his career, all his opponents ever did was hook him, hold him, and punch him in the teeth. We basically had to run like a guilt campaign to get anybody to call a penalty for Connor McDavid. He's going to be in the league a long time. You don't want a ref's first thought every time he hits the ice for an Ottawa Senators game to be like, I'm giving Timmy nothing. Because I am not going to be the latest ref to be made a fool of. Just saying, it goes away. You're great. You don't need to do that. And oh, you're lucky the Leafs killed that penalty because I don't know if Twitter is ready for that many diapers to be filled. And oh, revenge is a dish best served by David Kampf, apparently. Final seconds of the period. The Leafs are the team that's pressing. I like that change. That's fun. And I want to point something out. Try to remember that goal in your head, okay? What was it? It was Jake Muzzin, and he put it on, and David Kampf tipped it. That's what you remember. I went back and watched it, and what I remember now is Justin Holl leading the entry and basically forechecking. The Leafs gain the zone, they hold the zone, and then they're able to work it around to Jake Muzzin, who wanted this the whole time and basically gave David Kampf a look like, David, get in position, David. The Leafs' fourth-line center beats the Senators' best defenseman by simply putting a stick on the ice. Jake Muzzin set up, David Kampf goal, and you look at the look on his face, David Kampf go, ah, every time he scores. But what I noticed is this. Jake, what do you... I've never seen anyone celebrate an assist like that. And it's 1-1 heading into the second. So how you look at this situation is maybe how you are as a person. If you're a pessimist, you're looking at this game like, oh my God, the Leafs have home ice advantage. Could they please make it look like it against a team they should be much better than on the first hockey night in Canada of the season? I think the optimist says they've kind of played like garbage and it's still tied. And like, I've kind of emphasized that, and I talked about it on the Watch a Leafs Game with Steve Dangle on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Because basically for the first two periods, I was like, boo for the Leafs style. I haven't looked, but I bet the Leafs metrics so far this season through 3 games are fantastic. They have the puck way more than their opponent. They take more shot attempts than their opponent, and I believe they've outshot their opponent in all 3. But a lot of it has been semi-useless busy work. Like when you're writing an essay, so you start by writing your name, your date, the title of the essay, and then playing video games for 3 hours. You feel like you've made progress, but trust me, you haven't. Please get to work. I wasn't a good student. But look, it's tied. They're not at their best, and they're not losing. That's... A lot of teams would kill to be in that position. A lot of teams are at their best and they're still losing. Which one will the Leafs be? Let's find out in the third. We didn't get any scoring action in this one. I could have phrased that better. We didn't get any scoring action in this one until much later because, again, the Sens were forcing the Leafs out to the outside and playing tight most of the time. See, the Leafs' top line was really starting to come on. Really the top 2 lines. Tavares made a lot of, like, really just great little plays tonight. I loved his game. Nylander had a couple whacks at it. Marner was flying around, and Matthews and Bunting contributing, Malgin contributing, throwing around all his no body weight. We always say that sort of stuff. He's just a normal human. He looks small in the NHL, but in real life, he's just a guy. Anyway, they were doing things, and they were starting to look like much more productive things. The Sens are opening up, but like a little bit. Not like this. Look at that. Seriously, look at that. Austin knows where that's going. Willie knows where that's going. 20,000 people knew where that was going. I think the Sens knew where it was going. They just kind of allowed that to happen. You're like, you know what? We want to make this harder on ourselves. Let's give it a challenge. And also, Anton Forsberg's been amazing for us tonight, and he's definitely going to stop this. William Nylander, who shaved and made his handsome face a little bit more visible, snipes the thing. Willie cheese Cheeselander! Slap it on a shirt. I don't think I'm gonna sell any, but I want the shirt. That is just cheese. It's cheese with a flow, but like a regular, like a human body with shoulders. Anyway, unreal top cheese snipe with just a few minutes to go in the game. All right. Yesterday against Washington, or the other day against Washington. It's been a long week. The other day against Washington, you got the lead in the third and you were able to shut it down. Can you do it against the Drew bangs in a rebound? Oh. One's across the board. Shabbat's first assist, Brinket's first assist, and Giroux's first goal as a member of the Ottawa Senators ties it up. Not even a full minute and a half later, and with less than 5 minutes to play, we're going to overtime? Are we? Is it too early to say that? And with less than 2 minutes to go in the game, an unlikely Leafs candidate said, yes, it is. When I tell you that when recapping this goal, like live on stream on the Sportsnet YouTube channel, watch a Leaf Game with Steve Dangle presented by Coke. Watching the replay of this goal, I mistook Justin Holl for Mitch Marner. Justin Holl drives the zone. And a lot of you are looking at him like, why is the right defenseman driving the left wing? To that I would say, clearly you've never played EASHL with Ian Tulloch, but also, this is Justin Holl. This is the Justin Holl we like. Drives it, gets it to Michael Bunting. Bunting tries to whack at it. He doesn't score, but Justin Holl was still flying in, bats it in. Currently credited with the goal, even if they were to take it away and give it to Michael Bunting. This is the second out of 3 goals that Holl driving the zone. Whether they give it to Holl or Bunting, it doesn't matter to me because this is the second goal out of 3 where Holl driving the zone creates the goal. This is the Justin Holl who came back from a bad situation. He was drafted in the second round by the Chicago Blackhawks and was let go and was playing in the ECHL for the Leafs organization even. Called up to the AHL, he's great. So good that he won a Calder Cup and an NHL contract, which led to a much more lucrative NHL contract, which didn't look possible because he was healthy scratched like 71 times by Babcock. And the few games he did play, they're like, here's Igor Ozhiganov. Like, dude, he drives me nuts sometimes too. I don't really care for him handling it in the defensive zone. It makes me a scared person. But when Justin Holl is flying up the ice, using his speed, using his size, using his creativity, that's what got him into the league. And that's what won the Leafs the game. He was the first star. I laughed when I first saw it. He was. You know, Matthews and Marner, they both had good games. It's maybe the strongest they've both looked, at least as a tandem. But Justin Holl was the first star of that game. He was. Muzzin was good too. Like, for me, it's hard to say that any individual player had a bad performance. It's just as a cohesive unit, they had no chemistry. But they had just enough chemistry to get this goal, shut it down, and win this game. Samsonov, by the way, 26 saves. Questions. Are you nervous about the goalie situation? Do you see someone getting signed? Well, I was thinking there might be news while I was shooting this video, and there has been, but it's not related to a goalie. From Elliot Friedman, some rumblings tonight that, with some flexibility due to Matt Murray's injury, Toronto will recall Nick Robertson. Had a great camp. The cap and the fact that Nick Robertson is able to clear waivers is basically the only reason he's not currently in the NHL. He played just the day before on the Toronto Marlies, scored by the way, as he does. But the goalie situation, like, listen, if for the next month, let's say, it's Samsonov and Shelgren, that's okay. I think that's okay. I tell you what I am worried about. I'm worried about Matt Murray's long-term place in all this. Is Peter Mrazek as bad as he was for the Leafs last season? I don't know. I don't know that he is, because remember, he played a game, got hurt, came back after a month, played a game, got hurt, came back after like another month. He never got his feet under him as a member of the Leafs, and he was dealt to Chicago, and it cost the Leafs a bunch of draft spots. I am more worried about Matt Murray getting it back, like having to restart his season, and then staying healthy after that, than I am about the Leafs' actual goaltending health, because I think Samsonov and Shelgren, you can still win a bunch of games with those guys. What I am worried about is the Leafs being one injury away from potential disaster, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a move at some point in the next few days, but you never know. Hopefully Joseph Woll is close to returning. That would certainly help. Are you excited for when the Leafs play famous Ottawa Senator Cam Talbot? If you don't get out of my mentions with that! If you could watch a Leafs game with any Pokemon, what one would it be? It would be Ditto, because Ditto is a Pokemon that can turn himself into any Pokemon. The perfect answer. It's like scamming a genie out of more wishes. How do you handle stress? Asking since my team is in the bottom of the 17th inning right now. Well, I just sit down, I close my eyes, I breathe, I talk to a therapist, and take medication. Highly recommend. Lastly, is a goalie trade on the horizon now that Murray is on LTIR? Okay, so I don't know how the cap works with this, or in general. Do you? Do you know how LTIR works? Shut up! Anyway. You know who's a goalie? Who's pretty good? On a bad team. On an expiring deal. An affordable expiring deal. And he does that thing where he stops pucks. Oh yeah. I'm gonna say it. James Reimer. I'm just saying, out of all the goalies that the Leafs should be looking at right now, if they are looking at goalies, James Reimer should be near the top of the list! Now, Reimer does have a modified no-trade clause and also no restraining order that I'm aware of. I'm just saying it would make me a very happy boy. So, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. They're a Hall of Famer.